We'll get going. Adam Bemmels, principal here at Mankato Loyola, school leader. Fourth year here at Loyola, third year as the dual role of school lead and principal. So this is my 10th year of being a principal overall, and it's my 10th year of doing a state of the school. Last year, if you remember, we had a tough go of it trying to make one happen with the winter weather, so we had one virtually last year. It feels good to be in person. Before we get going here, I'll kick us off with a short prayer. And just remember that we are in the presence here this evening of our dear Lord, and that we ask for Him, for all those loved ones, those that have gone before us, for the intercessions in our prayers this evening. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, we give thanks for our school, for our staff, families, school community members, stakeholders, for all of our blessings we have here at Loyola. We're forever grateful. May we take a moment each day to pause and reflect on all that we have here at Loyola. For all those in our world, our country, our state, communities that are struggling, that are less fortunate, suffering through injury, sickness, natural disasters, natural causes. May they continue to feel our presence in prayer and support. Amen. In the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Before I get into the nuts and bolts of the slide, I just want to make a couple of quick mentions that I think are pretty neat. Yesterday, our band and choir had their competitions that they have yearly, and they both received superior ratings. So we're quite thrilled to have that. That's quite a feat, and I think when you look at the size of our school, the enrollment, it's quite an impressive feat. This past weekend, we competed in a pretty big speech meet. We finished second as a team, despite having half the participants as some of the other schools. So we're very proud of our activities and our students participating in their different activities. Our basketball teams, hockey, girls hockey just completed their seasons. Our boys hockey team, which is paired with Mankato East, begins their state tournament tomorrow. So we got a lot going on here, a lot to be thankful for and proud of at Loyola. Fortunately for you, we do have some other speakers coming up this evening. It's just not me the whole time. Matt Fink over there has got the recording going for anybody who is going to watch on our YouTube channel down the road. We had alumni reach out to us from across the world, wondering if they would have an opportunity to watch this evening. So, hello to all of you. As you see there, our mission statement, it's been there since 2000, leading through faith, academic excellence, and service. 4 pillars: leadership, faith, service, and excellence. In the mission statement, it talks about academic excellence, but I think when we talk about any facet of the school, you can substitute academics for whatever area it might be. Fundraising, you name it, enrollment. So people wanted to know, we asked people, what do you want to hear about? What do you want to know? And one of the most common questions is, can you tell me the structure or governance structure of Loyola? And it's a pretty different, quirky structure than you might see at another school. We're not a one parish school. We have 2 dioceses, New Ulm and Winona Rochester, which is very unique. You could span the whole country, and we're one of the very unique schools that has 2 dioceses. We have 2 bishops that we have overseeing the school. 2 superintendents of schools at both dioceses. We have a board of trustees. Some of those members are here this evening. We have 6 lay members, and we have four pastors in the Mankato, North Mankato parishes, and then an ex officio from the School Sisters of Notre Dame that make up our 11-person board. Underneath the Board of Trustees, we have 4 subcommittees. We have the Advancement Committee, Academics and Activities, Finance, and Facilities. And those subcommittees work. They do their goal is to do most of the legwork, to lift up anything relevant to the Board of Trustees to vote on or to carry forward. And then right now we have the structure of the principal school lead. Like I said before, this is the 3rd year with that leadership structure. I'll touch a little bit more as we go on some of the other leadership facets of the school, but that kind of gives you a hierarchy of how things are laid out. I do want to make mention as well, we are a member of MISF, the Minnesota Independent School Forum, so that could be any type of independent or private school. The whole Academy of Learning, many Catholic schools, many Lutheran schools. We're a member of that. We get a lot of different resources through there. There's a pretty good network. They also have an advocacy person that works through that foundation to support all the private schools. The second thing I want to make a mention of is we are a member of the National Catholic Education Association. And so when we talk about being a Catholic school, you know, we're bound by the standards that organization puts forward. We need to be an operationally vital school. We need to have long-range financial stability. Those are some of the key pieces from there. And then, of course, our Catholic identity. What makes us a Catholic school? What are the things we have to do as a Catholic school? So we're also a member of that, and we have been for as long as I can recall. Academic excellence. One of the things, so we talk about membership and we talk about, you know, what are we a part of? What do we need to do? What would we like to do? We are also mandated by our diocese to be an accredited institution. And to some people that word doesn't mean anything. To some people it means a lot because at their place of work they are accredited. We are seeking dual accreditation, which is kind of unique in Minnesota. There's a few other Catholic schools who are trying to accomplish that as well. So we are currently accredited with Advanced Ed, which has now become Cognia. Back in 2014-15, many of you in this room were a part of that process and the strategic planning that went into that. We are trying to take it one step further and become accredited with MINSA, the Minnesota Non-Public Schools Accrediting Association. I like MINSA. I've worked with them in the past at my previous stop, and they provide a better model for strategic planning. It's a 7-year model. It's a little more in-depth, and I think for us as a school community, it's going to give us a better vision forward. We're currently in the first year of that. A lot of this is self-study, perception data. You received a survey back in the fall that talked about, you got to give your opinion on where you feel we are in this area, in that area. So a lot of it is perception data. Year 2 is, what are we going to do with all this data that we did internally, that we got externally to pull in? And that's going to help devise our 7-year strategic plan. Some of those things we're going to accomplish in year 1, some it's going to be year 7. But I'm excited about this process because without it, I think sometimes, and as you well know, we get stuck in our tracks and we're spinning and we don't know where to go. This is going to help us with that, to give us 7 years of strategic planning. It's, for some, a monotonous process. It's a lot of work. For me, I like it. It gives us vision and a move forward. The one thing I'll also mention on the bottom there, along with our accreditation, we will also have a Catholic identity review. So spring of 2021, the Diocese of Winona-Rochester will come in and they will analyze how we're doing on our Catholicity. The last part I want to mention with accreditation is all of our planning that we're doing now, the strategic plan, will all need to be submitted, and we'll have an on-site visit in April of 2021. So that's kind of the end part of this. From there, they'll say you're fully accredited, you're partially accredited, or you need to do this before you become fully accredited. Academic excellence is one of our pillars, kind of, what's the end result? of our academics here at Loyola. I think we're often measured with the ACTs. Certainly we have other progress monitoring measures along the way. That's kind of our final publicized number you're going to see. We had a very good year last year with our ACTs. We had an all-time high in English, up over 26. There was a cumulative STEM score of 24.8, which is about 4.8 above the state as well in the realm of STEM. Our science is continuing to grow. I think as far back as I could see, we had our high in science as well. So we've made some good progress in areas, and we certainly know that we have areas of improvement. One of the other standardized tests we do is the NWEA, and that isn't so much a look at how we're doing, but it's more individual. In the classroom, teacher taking that data, and how can they implement that in the classroom to improve the instruction for their individual students. I think just a couple of things to note here that we've kind of ramped up the past few years, our preparation for the ACT. We have it's not a real glamorous name, but a junior boot camp over Catholic Schools Week that our juniors participate in terms of preparing for the ACT. And then in 8th grade, a preparational pre-ACT test too, which is unique. Both are pretty unique, and I think help provide us a leg up in terms of our ACT testing. We've had students, we've had parents mention that this is very helpful. Please continue to offer it. And in fact, I think it goes hand in hand with some of the increases in the scores with the amount of preparation that we've done with it. Service. We've talked a lot about service. If you talk to anybody who's worked with Loyola in the community, they'll say Loyola does service really, really well. Loyola shines in the area of service. And we finally have a few numbers to pull out of that, and I think just in the high school alone, that's a pretty impressive stat. Our high schoolers performed over 1,500 hours of service in the first semester. And it's nice to have some numerical data to back up the statement that, we do service, and we do it well. Our students graduate with a minimum of 80 hours of service. Some of the projects that you might have seen, you may have not, our coat drive that was done with SS Boutique last year, our blood drive with the Red Cross, and our Christmas basket mass program. There's many other examples. Any staff member in here could name another example of what we do in terms of service. There's a little video that was done, or news article that was done by KUIC this winter. I'm just going to play that quick in hopes that if you didn't see it, kind of see what the Christmas basket program is all about.
For nearly 40 years, Mankato Loyola Catholic School has been raising money and donating gifts to low-income families. Loyola has served around 600 families from their local parishes in the last 38 years in their Christmas Basket Family Program. Each class at Loyola gathers money and non-perishable food to donate to the program, and this year the school is wrapping gifts and essential items for 14 families.
I feel like this is more like Loyola tradition because service has always been one of our pillars here, and it's really essential through our curriculum, especially through our theology classes. So always taught that service is one of the biggest things that we can do to give back.
Winter essentials such as hats, sweatshirts, and pants are also being gifted to get those families through the season.
And I think that hits on service, but it also hits on leadership. If you listen to Holly talk, so many of our students can get in front of a camera, in front of a microphone, and talk about whatever it might be here at school. And that hits on that other facet of leadership, that other pillar of leadership. Our students can get out there and talk about Loyola. Sometimes I'll get asked, hey, can you talk about this or talk about that or do this or do that? And you don't need me. Take one of the students and have them. They're going to say it a heck of a lot better than I can. And I think that's a testament to our families that we have here and the students that we have at Loyola, that a high majority of our students are not afraid to get in front of a camera or a microphone and talk about their experience. Finances. While it's not we don't have finances in our mission statement, one of the things we're asked to report on is from the NCEA, which then flows into accreditation, is our finances. And, I think, I look back at where we've been and kind of where we are now and where we're going. We haven't always been able to be transparent with our finances. We haven't been in a position. As you well know, we've had a few rough years a few years back, and so we had to work through that. I cannot thank enough our Finance Committee, which is a subset of the Board of Trustees, our Finance Business Office here at the school, for just a lot of really hard work and getting us to the point where, we had to make some tough decisions. If we go back about 3 years ago, we were operating on a budget of over $5 million. We, at that time, lost, a couple hundred students. We shouldn't have been operating at a $5 million budget or more. So over the past couple of years, we've had to trim around $1 million out of our budget. And I think in some areas you've maybe felt that impact, but where we were, and we had to make some tough decisions to do that, to kind of reset. And now we're working on getting our student count back up, and we can start building some things, resources, people, whatever it might be, back into our budget as we look to move forward. I honestly feel that we are meant to operate our school with about a $5.5 million budget. And you're going to see we're still about $1.5 million away from that in terms of income and expenses. So we've got a ways to go from where I feel we're operationally vital and long-term sustainable. And we'll talk about some things way at the end that are going to help us with that, but it's just being transparent. This is where we are now and where we've got to go, and also kind of where we've been. Revenue this is last year. Revenue of $3.7 million. And you can see maybe you can't see the numbers in the back, but you see the chart there. Blue is tuition and fees. The maroon burgundy is donor support. The yellowish green is Parish Investment. And then the gray, lighter color is SCOLA. $3.7 million. And that's, when we lost a couple of hundred students, we took a big hit in our net tuition. And we're working on building that back up. I talked about $5.5 million. You can see where we've got to go. So some of the things I'm going to talk about as we go here, some of the events we're going to talk about, fundraising, development, super crucial to us getting where we need to be. And we'll break down a little bit, we'll talk a little bit more about tuition here as we go. Expenses, 3.9. Again, a big trim from where we once were. The blue, if you can't see it, is programs and services. The brownish burgundy is support staff and office. The yellow-green is facilities and maintenance. And the gray is marketing and advancement. And you're probably going, I've never seen somebody put up a finance display with a $200,000 loss on there. We're being transparent. We're not beating around the bush. But the good thing is, yes, at the bottom line, at the year end, yep, that happened. But we've got enough skilled people on our finance team and in our finance office to work us through that. And we've got a lot of support through SCOLA, through our banks, and we've got our tuition set up in a way that helps us get through that tough bubble come year end. So while it looks, you're probably going, what in the world are you doing showing that? I actually feel good about that because I know where we've been and where we're trending. So hang with us, and I hope again that you aren't too alarmed by it. If you want to ask a specific question about that, down the road here, certainly we can. All right, revenue. So where do we get our revenue from? You saw tuition. Some of the key other areas that, is different for us than a public school is our fundraising. And we have to rely on key events. We rely on tuition dollars and contributions and major gifts. So 2 key areas here. We have development, which is on the right-hand side. The blue at the bottom part, that big chunk is raised to date, $418,000. How much do we have to go? We have $214,000 by the end of June to go here in terms of our fundraising and our contributions and major gifts. The one on the left side is key events, and I'll have Ginger come up here and talk in a little bit in regards to our key events, but if you're a part of the school community, you know what those are. Lucky 20, Rockin' on the Hill, Wired to the Heart, the Golf Classic. Am I missing any? Sponsorships too. So those are, for us to get where we need to be and to keep moving forward, I hope you can see the importance of those things, the events and contributions. And we'll talk more at the end about how that's even more important. But we've made a lot of progress. February of 2018, SCOLA put forth a bold move to say, we're going to go hard at this to help us with the fundraising because we know how important that is, and providing funding to create a development office. So we're still kind of in the infancy stages of that. The more we pick up traction, the more we see those numbers are going to increase. All right, I'm going to stop for a bit. Ginger Leiferman, our key events coordinator, is going to come up and talk about some key events.
So like Adam said, my name is Ginger Leiferman, and I work with the volunteers and committees on the school's larger fundraisers like the Crusader Classic, Rockin' on the Hill, Wired to the Heart, and then the Lucky 20. Yes, running a school is expensive. Will you go back? And my responsibility is on the left-hand side. And the 245 came from Wired to the Heart and Rockin' on the Hill. So the 150 needs to come from the Lucky 20 and the golf event that's coming up. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to get where we need to be. But the fundraising does bring in money, and it helps the bottom line, which helps keep tuition costs low and provides, the best for our students. So what I'd like to touch on is the upcoming Lucky 20 event that we have. And that I think that there are a lot of families that maybe aren't very familiar with this event or this fundraiser. It's something that was started, I think, back in 2007. It's been going on for quite some time, but we've had a lot of families that have continued to grow with it and support it, and I think that we've missed some opportunities with some of our younger families. So I want to take a little bit of time to talk specifically about what Lucky 20 is. Lucky 20 is a raffle, and it kicks off the first week in March, so we'll be sending out some information, and it wraps up at the golf event, which is May 11th, so we have about 8 weeks. And what we're going to be doing during that time is selling raffle tickets. So we have the opportunity to raise $100,000 in a very short amount of time. This is going to provide a significant contribution to our annual fund. So there's only 1,000 tickets that are sold, with 20 opportunities to win. So the large grand prize is $10,000. There's a $5,000 prize, a $1,000 prize, 2 $500 prizes, and then 15 $200 prizes. So there's 20 opportunities to win. So that makes it a little bit easier to kind of palate, I think, when you're selling that. The tickets are $100 each, and we limit those to 1,000. And I think that some people find that a little intimidating to try to sell, but I want you to keep in mind that we're not asking you to purchase these tickets. I understand that everybody pays tuition and you're sacrificing things, and what we're looking for you to do is to go outside of Loyola. So to ask your family, your relatives, your grandparents, I think that supporting your grandchildren or other relatives is a little bit easier sell because it's for the kids. And it comes down to the bottom line that it's supporting the school. So keeping in mind to ask people outside of the Loyola community is one thing to do. The other piece is that we're coming off a pretty good economy this year, but I know that some people also say, $100 is a lot. Well, you don't have to give the $100. You can split it up. You can each do 50, or maybe you can get some people to go in on it and do $20. But what it comes down to is we need to sell 1,000 tickets. We have just over 350 families in the Loyola system. If everybody sold 3 tickets, we'd make our goal. So we need everybody's help doing this. It's got great potential, but it's not something that one person can do or a handful of people can do. It takes all of us. It takes a community. That's what we are here at Loyola, as a community. If you've received an email from me ever, I have a tagline at the bottom of my email signature, and it says, "Alone we can do so little, and together we can do so much." I can steer the ship on these things, but I can't do it without the help of everybody being involved. So what's going to happen now is a letter is going to go out to everybody in the Loyola family, and you will receive 3 proxy tickets. And the proxy tickets, we can't send tickets through the mail. It's just illegal. But we can send proxy tickets. Once they're paid for, we can send the stub. So the proxy tickets just need to get filled out, either mailed back or returned to the school. We'll fill in the actual ticket stub and we'll mail it to the person that purchased the tickets. However, if you would like to actually get physical tickets, those are available too, and I will have them here tonight, or I can get them to you through your student. Let's see. Oh, we're doing something new this year, kind of a seller incentive. So what we're going to do, what has happened in the past is people have taken tickets and we've reminded people that we should sell them, and then weeks go on, and Sister Mary Kay Gosh comes to me and says, "How are we doing?" And my number says 100. And all of a sudden the tickets come flooding in at the last minute. But what we're going to try to do this year is try to keep them coming in a little bit more consistently. We're going to be doing a drawing every Thursday. So any ticket that's been turned in, make sure that you put the seller's name on it, because we're going to be doing a drawing for the seller for cash each week. And so then we will call and we'll let you know, and we'll put it in the newsletter as well. So hopefully we can have a steady stream of these tickets coming in. So the sooner you get them in, the better chances are of having your name drawn for that. Okay. So the other events that we have that help build a sense of community with our current families, our past families, and alumni are the Crusader Golf Classic, which is coming up on Monday, May 11th. That is a scramble. We have team and individual games. We do a lunch, a dinner, a program, and then we have a jug, which we display out in the activities case for each team that wins annually. And then we have the Rockin' on the Hill event, which is scheduled for Saturday, July 18th. Adam has promised me that it's going to be 82 and sunny, and so I won't be calling Craig in the morning with a flooded parking lot and football field. So we have that event coming up, and then Wired to the Heart is set for Friday, November 20th. So one thing that Adam had mentioned is that we expect our students to provide service and service hours. And we talk about the importance of giving back the time, talent, and treasure. And everybody has ability to do something different. And I think as parents, we set the tone for our children and we lead by example. So I encourage you to find your passion, whether it be church, school, or elsewhere to get involved. And if you are interested in getting involved here at Loyola, we do have several opportunities, whether it be through sponsorship, being a part of a committee, or helping actually at the event. And so I also will have a sign up at the back. If there's something that you're interested in getting involved in or just wanting to know more about, you can sign your name up on that sheet and put your phone number down, and I'll give you a call and just kind of fill you in on whatever it is you're looking for. So with that, that's all that I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Tuition and enrollment, another certainly key piece of our school, obviously, in every which way possible. I talked before about tuition count, student count, and how that affects our tuition. One of the ways we know we have to grow is through our families. I can sit up here and talk to people till I'm blue in the face. It isn't going to mean a whole lot. Our staff has probably a more positive effect than I do in talking to people. At the elementary level, I know it's our families, it's our parents. At the high school level, I think it's our kids. Our kids have to help sell our high school through word of mouth, talking with other friends in other schools and whatnot. So we know that we need everybody to help with student count. And so we have a new program this year. I want to thank the subcommittee of the Finance Committee who worked on this, coming up with a referral program new this year. $250 for each new student referred in grades 1 through 5, 7 and 8, and 10 through 12, and then $500 each for each student referred in grades K, 6, and 9. And I think you well know why those breaks are there, or those increases are there at those certain spots. Kindergarten, 6th grade, and 9th grade, those are popular moving spots. And then we still have a couple of discounts, 5% for full payment by the end of May and 3% for 2 installments in May and October. So there's two payment discounts to go along with the referral program. No increase for 2021. So we reached out for questions before this event, wondering what people want to know. So I'm going to weave in these questions throughout the presentation. So one of the questions was, I saw that the price of tuition is only 45% of the total cost to send my child to Loyola. Why don't you raise tuition to a sustainable level? Well, we tried that, and it didn't work. There was quite a bit of analysis in one way or another that went into getting us at the prices where we are. And everybody certainly got an opinion as far as what is the right number. We'll show a video even a little bit later. We'll talk about what variable tuition means. And I think as we even get further down the road in talking about SCOLA, financial aid, scholarships, all of that, we begin to see the importance of it. But we've really made, I think, a pact to keep our tuition as affordable as we possibly can, knowing that we have successful events, knowing we have a new development program that's getting and going to help us keep our tuition at what we feel is a very appropriate level. So no increase for this year, or this coming year, So we're pretty happy with that. There you see the preschool tuition rates were virtually full. I'm not going to go through each class and let you know where we are for enrollments this year and next year, but we were virtually full this year. Next year we're trending that direction. I got a question here. I've heard that the preschool and pre-K programs are virtually full. how can the school justify not opening additional kindergarten classes? I'll take it one step further. How can we not justify opening up more preschool classes? If last year was any indication, we're not afraid to make a move to open up another section. I think the same can be said for preschool. We're getting very close to full in our preschool classes again. So I think our goal is to continue to get as many people a part of Loyola as we can. So we have to continue to keep an eye on our numbers, where we're at, and make the best decisions we can for which programs to offer and when. And we certainly know that we want to be as proactive and ahead of that as we possibly can. So I always say anything's on the table when we're talking about what programs to offer and which classes to offer. So, talked about variable tuition. What does that mean? We had a video put together that we can use marketing-wise in a number of different areas when we want to inform whether it's current families, potential new families, donors, whatever it might be, in terms of what variable tuition means and what that means in terms of a relationship with Loyola.
Since 1865, Mankato area families have had access to a Catholic education that provides students with opportunities to lead through faith, academic excellence, and service. But an excellent faith-based education requires a significant financial investment. This investment can be too difficult for some families to make. At Loyola Catholic School, we are committed to serving as many families as possible. In fact, no family at Loyola pays 100% of the cost of education. How do we do this? 4 ways. First, through Parish Investment. Second, through the financial support of our generous donors. Third, through the support of the Scola Foundation. And fourth, with funds raised through our key event fundraisers. Altogether, tuition at Loyola Catholic School accounts for just 35% of the total cost to educate our children. The cost of tuition has already been supplemented for every Loyola student. This commitment to providing an affordable, faith-based education that is accessible to everyone is foundational to the mission of Loyola Catholic School. As a result of this continued commitment, Loyola uses a program that helps more families access a high-quality, faith-based education. This program is called Variable Tuition. Variable tuition is just that, variable. We match your tuition rate to your family's unique financial position. Tuition at Loyola is not one size fits all. It's a range that spans from 15 to 40% of the full cost of this high-quality, faith-based education. Families interested in variable tuition simply submit their financial information to a confidential third-party service online. Based on a recommendation to our administration, your variable tuition is confirmed. It's as easy as that. Think you can't afford a quality Catholic education? Think again. With variable tuition, an excellent education at Loyola has never been more accessible. For more information, please visit our website, loyolacatholicschool.org, or call 507-388-0600.
So variable tuition, not a term we've used a lot here, but I think this video and that term can help maybe explain, if you're talking to a potential new family, about what tuition is like. We can certainly refer that video to them to help. Just some kind of neat things here and key dates and such. Enrollment and registration. We have a summer clubhouse program that we had last year. New this year will be 3- and 4-year-old spots for the summer clubhouse program that is now open to Loyola families. That begins open to the public on March 6th. One other thing we're doing this year that's new, continuous enrollment for K-12, which is basically automatic re-enrollment. Your changes are completed directly in fax. Just a couple of key dates. We have Crusader for a Day coming up next Friday, March 13th. Kindergarten Roundup on March 19th. We have 2 times, 4 and 6 p.m. And then later on this spring, we have High School Information Night on May 6th at 7:30. Still a couple of ways for financial aid. We certainly have the third-party vendor that we talked about that will take a look at your financial position and give us a number or some things to look at. Also, there's Seeds of Faith and the SCRIP program as well. All right, next up, time for somebody else to talk. Next we have Dan Godfrey. Dan is the president of the Loyola Booster Club, and he's going to talk to us a bit about the Booster Clubs. Thanks, Dan.
Well, there are some people who would say it's crazy to put me in front of a live mic. By the end of my presentation, some of you might agree. I see my request for a teleprompter was ignored, so I'm just going to have to work off of my sheet. So bear with me if I get lost a little bit. Pay a little more attention when I get to the middle, page 2, because that's really where the really good information about the Booster Club will be. Before I get there, maybe just a few moments of humor for everyone. Hopefully you enjoy it, and hopefully no one's offended. But we are going to have some fun with my time in front of you, because at one point I had an overwhelming fear of speaking in public, and humor has helped me get over that. Plus, I'm generally one sarcastic son of a couple Catholics, so why not have a little fun? I am Dan Godfrey, Booster Club president. Yeah, I said president. It's a title I inherited from my predecessor, Matt Fink, and one which I remain saddled with today because the current board of the Booster Club refuses to support my enhanced moniker, Daniel Smart Mouth Weisenheimer of House Godfrey, first of his name, king of all boosters, protector of the activities support realm, not to be confused with the athletic supporter realm, 5-star leader, and all-around swell guy. Is that bit of recognition too much to ask? I guess some people you just can't lead. But I digress. The Booster Club. Who are we? Well, we are you. You're members of the club, whether you act on your membership or not. We have no dues or other requirements. By virtue of being here tonight, you show that you care about the success of Loyola Catholic School and its students. That's what we're all about as well. We work in harmony with the administration to fulfill our mission, support and foster co-curricular and extracurricular activities at Loyola through fundraising and volunteer efforts. Speaking of fundraising, we are blessed to partner with Big Dog Sports Cafe on our charitable gambling operation. Our 5-star operation generated $61,000 for Loyola during fiscal year 2019, which, when combined with other funding, allowed the Booster Club to donate more than $80,000 to support Loyola activities. A couple of larger items we help fund include the concrete batting cage in the southwest corner of the football field and the new risers for the choir, which are sitting right over here. We also coordinate other fundraising and participation opportunities for Loyola, such as the youth basketball program, the youth basketball clinic, Hoopin' on the Hill, and the recently retired, I hate to say, coupon book fundraiser. I think there are some people that maybe aren't so upset that was retired, but it was something we were able to successfully raise funds for many years. We want to provide a positive impact to all Loyola activities because we believe that involved students will be better prepared to lead through faith, academic excellence, and service. We want anyone with a passion for our students and activities to join us. We are especially in need of support and expertise in non-athletic activities and girls' athletics. We've got a great board, but it just so happens that they're more of the traditional male sports booster club that people think about. We don't want to limit ourselves to that because that's not the only things we're here for. If you can help us fulfill our mission, go to loyolaboosterclub.org to learn more about our board. Find the date and time of our next meeting and come join us. To paraphrase Kennedy, ask not what the Booster Club can do for you. Ask what we can do together as a Booster Club to support the activities here at Loyola. If you have any questions, I'll be in the Commons after the conclusion of tonight's presentation. I'm particularly interested to hear from those who would support my enhanced moniker We'll likely have prime board positions available for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for the humor, too. No, I'm not feeling very good about my presentation. Mine's kind of stiff compared to yours. Yeah. You got one, Eric? No, all right. Okay. All right, another organization, parent volunteer team. Ginger mentioned before, Dan mentioned just, more support, more help for the school. Our parent volunteer team puts on some of these key events throughout the year, which are more community building. They're not so much fundraising as they are community building, community interaction, such as the new pancake breakfast, which went over really well recently, turkey bingo, some teacher support events, staff support events, and a few others, trunk or treat in the fall, if you recognize that one, as well. So they're always looking for more help and more support on that group. It was formerly known as the Home and School Association. It's now the Parent Volunteer Team. So let's talk about what's new, maybe what is currently new, what's going to be new. We have a new concept this year that I'm particularly proud of, excited about, and that's lead teachers. It's a new concept to Loyola. It's not a very common concept across many schools. You're starting to see out there a little bit more of the lead teacher concept. One of the big things you continually hear in a school is there's a gap between the teaching staff and the administration. And it's one of the things that, being a former teacher, drove me the most nuts to hear, is there's a gap between administration and the teaching staff. And so, and sometimes even if you have an assistant principal or a vice principal or whatever the term might be, there can still be that gap. So this year, kind of made the bold move to move ahead with the lead teacher concept. And I'm, as we're now in March, extremely thrilled that we did that and excited to keep that going and improving. So we have lead teacher, and I'm going to ask them to stand up. They may not want to. I'm going to ask them to stand up because I assume sometimes that everybody knows everybody, but that's not always the case. So K6, Shannon Campbell. Seven, 8, and she's also tasked with some personalized learning and technology support, Chrissy Karst. And 9-12, Carrie Kester. Sitting next to them is John Lankhammer. John's our Dean of Students and Activities Director, and depending upon the day, he might just be one of them. So John Lankhammer right there as well. It puts a lot on the teachers, on our lead teachers. It puts a lot on them, and I'm very cognizant of that. I think we're all aware of that. And so we know, this being the first year of this venture, at some point here we're going to talk about what that might look like in year 2, to make some changes for the better to best support them, make sure their loads are appropriate as we move into next year. But I can't thank them enough. One thing I continually hear is that the communication lines have improved vastly with you three in place. So thank you for your good work this year. Technology refresh, as you may or may not know, we have new laptops this year, MacBooks, we have iPads, we have new carts that go along with it. We have iPad, what am I trying to say here? We have mirroring in each of the classrooms that we can use. Apple TVs, there we go, Apple TVs that we can use as well. I think some people question when it comes to technology, how are we doing with it? We're in year 1 of this new refresh, so we know we have some ways to go in certain areas. There's other areas we're extremely excited about. But it's a continual process. We have a 3-year lease with our MacBooks and our iPads. So we're in beginning year 2 here coming up. We'll start evaluating what we're going to do for the next go around. If you've been reading the news, tiered busing is hitting Mankato next year. Fortunately, I think we're going to work through that pretty unscathed in terms of us not having to do some tiered starting. We're going to probably start a little bit later next year than we have been traditionally, probably looking at 8:10, 8:15. We don't exactly know when that will be at this point, but we're still happy to provide one start time for our families. I think one thing we're talking about academically on our leadership side is, with a little bit later of a start day, could we offer some 0-hour courses at the high school level, so starting 7:35, 7:40 for our early rising teachers and our early rising students, juniors and seniors most notably, to come in and potentially take a 0-hour class, which would help them with their afternoons if they're PSEO or if they have activities to participate in, whatever it might be. We hope that can maybe provide some flexibility in their schedule. Specials, advancement, AP specials, AP courses. I'm not going to go too far into that. I mean, I think people want to know why we offer this and why we offer that. We don't have time to go into what are all the things we offer. Our Academics and Activities Committee talks almost year-round about what are the things we offer. Are we hitting the right buttons in terms of courses? Those two are up there, AP Chem and AP Psychology, because they were new this year. But Spanish, elementary Spanish, I get asked a lot, when are you going to bring elementary Spanish back? My kid misses that. That was a great program. And it certainly had its benefits, but as you know, we had to make some tough decisions. And the program wasn't where I wanted it to be. So we've got a new Spanish teacher in the high school this year, and Mrs. Rolfing is doing a great job, and we're making sure we get high school right. And if the Academics and Activities Committee, the leadership, we determine that it's time to start looking at bringing Spanish back in, we will. It's not going to happen next year, but we are looking at bridging that in some capacities with the use of technology and programs that are on the iPads or computers. Others that I get asked about, I think are music, art. We're very, very happy to continue to offer those preschool through 12. We know that that's super important. One of the other areas that I'll touch on in terms of specials or different classes is STEM. It's 2020. Why isn't Loyola with the times in offering STEM? Well, we do in certain areas. We may not say, well, we have a full-on STEM program. That's changing. This past year at Wired to the Heart, we dedicated some of our funding that we raised at that event for STEM funding with the Angel Gift. We had a challenge grant, $25,000 challenge grant put forth by the Richard Schultz Foundation in the cities. They said, hey, if you can raise $25,000, we'll give you $25,000. We did raise $25,000 out of our development office. So alongside with the Wire to the Heart event, in total we raised about $38,000 plus the $25,000 match from the Richard Schultz Foundation. So we have that amount of money to begin incorporating a STEM program and resources into our school. And strategically, and that's something we can market and be very proud of. So we're going to start with resources, what that might look like in terms of materials and people. We don't quite know yet, but there will be a team tasked to come up with that. So that's exciting as well. At the high school level, we ask people, we ask our outgoing seniors, we ask high schoolers, our teachers, our families, what are we missing? What else do we need to offer? Our Academics and Activity Committee talks about it. What are we missing? Where are we missing the boat? And one of the areas that has been most common is facts. And it's not your traditional home ec class that you're thinking about. There's a number of different things that fit under the facts umbrella. Foods is certainly one of them. Senior finance is another common one. There's a number of those courses that fit underneath that umbrella. So that's something that we're looking at beginning to implement into our high school. The other thing that we talk a lot about is life skills. Our students can leave, they can leave as leaders, they can leave and they can, be good in the area of service. But what other life skills are they getting at Loyola, or do they need to get at Loyola before they leave? So our Academics and Activities Committee, I know Sister Mary Kay Gosh is in the back there somewhere. We've talked about that probably at 10 of the last 12 meetings. It's very important, and it's very high on our list. So we're aware that we need to continue to have that discussion. One of the cool things, I think, when it was brought forward to administration about a band and choir trip to New Orleans, I was a little bit uneasy about it right away. I'm like, New Orleans? But our band and choir teachers did a great job of presenting that, why that's going to be a great trip, why that's going to benefit those students and families, and we're excited to be in the fundraising part of that as we speak so they can go on that trip. I talked about the STEM Challenge Grant. One of the other things I want to talk about is transportation. We're fortunate to be able to utilize public transportation for getting to school, going home, for our activities. Still, there seems to be a gap in certain areas. During the day, field trips. Maybe getting students from outside of the district window to Loyola who want to become a part of the school community. We spend, for an in-town field trip, one bus trip is $75 in town. So we've been exploring, how can we save money in the terms of transportation. And we're kind of hamstrung with the safe environment training that we have to go through with Virtus in the diocese. So it's not like we can just pile kids into cars and take off and go. We're kind of hamstrung in what we can do. So we've talked a lot about a bus. A generous donor has come forward and purchased a 29 or 30 seat passenger bus for us to utilize. And we're excited to hopefully get that on the ground, literally, and begin using it at least during the day for field trips so we can save costs on that, and eventually utilizing it to transport students to Loyola outside of the district who couldn't otherwise get here, but they want to be at Loyola. So there'll be much more about that down the road, but I just wanted to put that out there as something that's new. All right. Speaking of new, we have a newish SCOLA board member who is going to talk tonight on behalf of SCOLA. Very happy to have Chris Cass, C-A-S-S. He's a member of SCOLA. He's a parent here at Loyola, and he's going to come up and give us a little bit of a talk on SCOLA. So thanks, Chris.
So I have no jokes prepared. But anyway, my name's Chris. I'm a board member for SCOLA, and I think it's a good question that many of you may be sitting out there wondering exactly what SCOLA is. So SCOLA was created in 1975 by a group of families that wanted to keep the Catholic education alive in Mankato. And I think that's important, right? Catholic education alive in Mankato. It's just really important. That's why we're here. So because of people like you, SCOLA has grown to a $5.2 million endowment. Our goal is to double the endowment over the next 10 years. These funds are raised by individuals and corporations for the immediate and long-term benefit of the students and staff at Loyola. These funds help in many ways. So scholarships, capital projects, and teacher compensation are just to name a few. A child's education is priceless, and there are ways to make a difference. So I will be around later after the presentation. If you'd like to ask me any questions, or please contact the development office if you'd like to contribute or to establish a named fund. Short and sweet.
Thanks, Chris, and I appreciate you coming up. First year on the board here. That's awesome. Thank you. One of the things you see directly underneath the SCOLA Foundation at the top is a separate 501c3 formed, which is Crusader Holdings, LLC. And I'll touch a little bit more on that with the next slide here. So the last thing, I'm going to end it this evening with a discussion that was asked. We were asked about this question, and it's been a kind of an ongoing, we've had an ad hoc committee as a subcommittee of the Board of Trustees talking about Loyola's future. And it's not that it came out of the blue. The School Sisters of Notre Dame put out requests for proposals on this property, the entire hill, if you will. And we certainly have a footprint on this hill. The footprint we have right now is land owned by the School Sisters of Notre Dame. So one of our tasks as a school board, as school leadership, is to secure the future of Loyola. And if not the hill, then where? And I think many of you who drive up the hill every day go, wow, how lucky are we to be up here? And I feel that. I still feel 4 years in that I'm driving up onto like a college campus. I don't know how many other campuses you can look at and compare to Loyola, maybe a St. John's or something like that. I don't know. But there aren't many with the beauty of this campus. And I think our board, our ad hoc committee, our leadership said, this is where we have to be. A few years back, we made the bold move to move up here, move everybody up to the hill. And that was the right move at that time, and it's the right move to stay here for the next 50 to 100 years. And that's what a lot of us in this room and not in this room are going to try to accomplish as we look ahead. So, I mentioned that the School Sisters put out RFP. We discussed in our ad hoc committee about what that means for us. How much do we want to bite off? How much can we bite off? When's the right time? Ultimately, through many conversations, many discussions internally and with the School Sisters, we are in the process of working on a purchase agreement with the School Sisters of Notre Dame for our footprint and just a bit more acreage than what our footprint currently is, to help accommodate potential future growth, expansion, and whatnot. So what does that mean? Well, that's a pretty expansive project. Loyola, we're not in the business of purchasing land and managing land, and so that's where Crusader Holdings comes in. Crusader Holdings, a subgroup of the Scola board. The Scola board had some properties that were gifted or they had picked up along the way. So those will now become a part of Crusader Holdings. There was an initial gift given to Crusader Holdings to help us on this journey of where are we going and what does that mean for us down the road. What does it mean? Well, it means if you've listened to me talk about enrollment and growth, it means we need more space. It means we need more classrooms. It means we want a competition gym up here. It could mean a lot of different things. And if we ask everybody in here, what would you like to have? What would you like to see happen? Teacher pay, increase endowment, whatever it might be. I think we all have a dream for what that looks like down the road. And right now, with strategic planning, with the timing of this, the time is now to have these discussions, and the time is now to set course on our future. We've got a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful history at Loyola. I can't begin to tell the story and paint a picture of how beautiful our history is. And now's the time to bring that with us, all of that wonderful history, and bring it with us as we move forward. But collectively, we, expansive project again, going back to that, we need to determine where we are going. So that's where the stakeholder input is. Where do we want to grow? And ultimately, I want to go back to, 10 slides ago or so, talking about financial sustainability, operational vitality, This process needs to help secure the next 25 years, 50 years, 100 years of education at Loyola. What I mean by that is more scholarships, more tuition assistance, a bigger endowment, so we can keep the pressure off our families, so we can keep the tuition affordable, and not put too much pressure on the school to go out and annually raise funds. We certainly know we have to, but we also can't build unrealistic goals when it comes to that. So, what does this mean? What is coming down the road? Lots of stakeholder input, lots of stakeholder feedback, internally, externally. It's going to mean we're going to need a needs assessment, which is being started. What are we going to determine are the highest priorities, the biggest needs? From there, we have to determine how much can we bite off. How many phases are we going to need to do? What's going to be in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? So you're talking feasibility studies, we're talking potential capital campaign down the road. We don't quite know at this time, but that's where we're going. And the time is now. We've got great support from the SCOLA board, again, Crusader Holdings, and our school board to continue these conversations moving forward. So I know I covered a lot of stuff there, and not all the details are final on a lot of this stuff yet. We're very cognizant of the relationship we have with the School Sisters of Notre Dame, and we want this to be a joint message when completed, and through that we're going to be stronger. We're going to be stronger together and good partners. So this is an exciting time. I may not show it right now, I've been talking too long, but this is an exciting time for the school. I will say this is probably the most historic piece of time we've ever had at the school. It's right now, and it's the next couple of years. This is it. This is big time. It's go time. We're going to need a lot of voices, a lot of hands to help us with that. And if you have a vision, if you have a goal, if you have a dream for your children, your grandchildren, yourself, this next 2 years is a time to really, I didn't say 2 years, it could be one and a half, 2, but this next window of time is it. And I'm excited we're at this point. It's taken a little while to get here. There's been a lot of conversations. It hasn't been necessarily a fast-moving thing, and that's okay. But I'm excited where we're going and extremely optimistic. We've got a lot of good people a part of this school, a lot of great heads, a lot better than mine, that are going to come together and help determine the next, like I said, 1, 5, 25, 50, 100 years of this school. So I know you probably have a lot of questions. We've got a lot of people in here who are a part of those discussions, and they're going to go after this. You forgot to talk about that. Way to go. But there's a lot to mention, and only so much time, and there's going to be a lot coming down the road. So I didn't expect to hit every point here this evening. I do want to end it with questions. I want to address one other question that I think we appreciated. Is it possible to extend the sidewalk from the drop-off door to the end of the block for a more easier flowing of drop-off and pickup lanes? Yes, it's been addressed. Thanks to a generous donor, they're going to help us with that. So we appreciate that. One other question. I'm going to go back to the last slide. We keep hearing rumors about the property. Are there interested buyers? If it sells, what does that mean for Loyola if the new owners want the school? So I got to back up. Right now we are actively talking about our footprint, so not the entire hill, our footprint plus some acreage. On top of that, I think, 50 acres or so. The whole hill is certainly more than that. We've certainly had discussions about what the whole hill means for Loyola. We're respectful of the sisters and who they're maybe working with that we're not aware of, or what they're trying to accomplish. We don't know what the whole hill means right now for Loyola, for the future, but we know this, that the sisters want this hill to align with their mission. And that gives me a lot of great comfort in knowing that whatever the entire hill looks like in 10, 15, 20 years, that there's a great partnership with Loyola. Maybe by chance we're the only people up here, I don't know, but we'll figure that out down the road. But hearing from the SS&D leadership, confident that there's going to be good partners up here down the road with Loyola. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
What is the current K-12 enrollment?
Mrs. Castile?
400, just under 400, K-12, 474 preschool.
474 preschool through 12, just under 400 K-12. I will make a mention, too, there were some questions submitted that we'll put in our newsletter. Felt like they were more appropriate to address maybe in a parent newsletter as opposed to this forum. So if you're here and I didn't address it, I apologize, but it will be addressed at some point. Certainly, we're going to be around here for a bit afterwards. You can certainly shoot an email, give a phone call, stop in if you have any questions about anything else. All right, with that, thank you. Again, we'll be here. You know where we are if you have any questions. Thank you.